All right, friends, I am home. I just got home in New Orleans from Tampa. This was a quick trip. I was just there, 2 weeks ago, and I flew in for a short trip this time, and I just got back today. So I want to give you guys a review. This is something I started doing, so you'll have to let me know if you like it. But I attend multiple conferences a year, and I'm talking 6 to 10 of them. And so I want to give some of my takeaways and my reviews. This is my favorite conference of the year. It's the one that I often invite people to, that I highly promote. So I'm looking forward to breaking this one down. So here we go. So I have three major mentors. These are two of them. Okay. And this is the only class they do together where they're the sole teachers. So you've got Peter Fortunato and John Schaub. This is their one more time, April 5th and 6th, 2025 in Tampa. They change the name of it every year. Um, but they usually hit on, so normally you see those big, if you're watching, there's big 2, 3, 4 inch binders. Those are usually the, classes that they put on. See, because this one, they change it every year, the topic. So this is a little bit of a smaller manual, but still nonetheless pretty thick. Great for referencing. I want to give you some of my key takeaways. But let me just real quick explain. John has Pete Fortunato has been investing since 1965, and John has been investing since the 1970s. I need to find out exactly what year because I keep saying it. Let's see. Nonetheless, the early 1970s, they're both based out of Florida. Pete is in St. Petersburg and John is in Sarasota. And they do this class. Both of them are, they don't do a ton of speaking these days, especially John. And so I'm so thrilled when they do a class together. And again, this is one of my favorite ways to introduce people to some of these old school teachers that, you know, I always tell people, you never know how much longer you're going to have with them. They literally are calling it one more time. We never know when we are not, maybe they'll retire from teaching at some point. You never know. Let's jump right into it. So I'm going to give you some of my So I want to give you some of my key takeaways. Before I do though, let me just remind you, this is a class they do every April until further notice. John Schaub puts it on his website, John Schaub, SCHAUB.com. And generally it's early on in April or mid-April. A lot of you were in the room. You came up and said, "Hey, Courtney, I listen to your podcast. I watch your YouTubes, things like that." So thanks so much for coming up and talking with me. Some of you guys, we shared lunch together. We got to talk during the breaks, all of that. So loved to see and meet many of you. Great seeing some of you again. That is the beauty of these classes. It's not just what you learn up front, but it's also the second seminar of what you learn in the hallways, in the breaks, and during the meals. All right, let's jump into it. I have a handful of some of my takeaways. Let's go. So what they do is they just take turns speaking. Pete will speak for an hour and a half, John will speak for an hour and a half, and then they go to lunch, and then the same thing happens, right? For both days. Pretty simple, but let me give you some of my takeaways from Pete. Here's a quote. It says, "Care needs to be taken to avoid hard-won capital being lost to poor judgment and risky ventures. So care needs to be taken to avoid hard-won capital being lost to poor judgment or risky ventures." So what is that? Pete is as aggressive as they come with his portfolio, but it's a reminder you have to take care to avoid poor judgment and to avoid risky ventures. When the money is so hard earned, it can very easily slip away. The next one, the next one is, I like this one. He said, work for income, like so cash flow. Work for cash flow until your family is no longer afraid, and then work for equity. Does that mean you don't buy properties with equity up front? No, it's just, you know, yes, get deals with equity, but don't let equity be your main driving factor in the beginning. In the beginning, let cash flow be the main benefit that you're chasing after. And that's a very good reminder. Again, that's not just, liberty to go buy a whole bunch of no equity deals. No, that's not the point. It's put your emphasis on cash flow, and then you can put your emphasis on things like, equity. He also said, it is your job to structure a deal your tenants can afford. And this was said in a time, in an age where interest rates are high, when prices are compressing. Even John mentioned that he had a rental that he's going to probably go down $200 a month. Maybe I'd have to look at my notes, maybe $200 or $400 a month just to get it to rent. I think it was 400 because I think he said 2,900 and he was going to go down to 2,500 to get it to rent in Sarasota. And so being mindful, right? Being mindful of compressions, both in, values and in rents. But you've got to structure a deal where your tenants can afford. That's also, I mean, this is the day and age of the insurance crisis. You've got to be mindful. And Pete said, stay in the game, act purposely, and acquire on purpose. He's all about intention. I really appreciate that about him. And I had a big aha. It started in the class, but it went into afterwards when I went to McDonald's and spent some additional time with Pete there before leaving out of town. Constants, loan constants. It's a way to measure your position in a loan. It's math. It's a metric. For years, I've been trying to further wrap my head around constants. I don't know why. I am just slow in this department. And so last year I had ahas on constants. This year I had a different aha. And it was the aha that constants are where amortization be damned, cash flow is the goal with constants. And so that takes that second point, which is work for cash flow until your family is no longer afraid, then work for equity, to a whole nother dimension for me. So that was a huge takeaway for me, especially as I'm gearing up to kill off some subject to debt in my portfolio. I'm looking at my loan constants and I'm trying to understand which one should I kill off first. There's a lot of factors. Constants are not the only ones, but it is one factor I am looking at. And it's a reminder to me in this phase of my career, you know, amortization, it spoke to me that amortization be damned. Cash flow is key here. John said something, and I believe that it was powerful because they both emphasized it at different points. But John said the key to success is self-confidence, and Pete said that he had too much self-confidence to not, go a certain direction at some point. They've both taught me a lot about that self-confidence, that confidence in being a deal maker, things like that. So let me give you some of my takeaways from John and his sessions. John said, he explained this. He also did this on a recent Coach Chad Carson podcast, which is he explained it there. But it was the worst position is to believe you have asset protection, but you really don't. It's a strong reminder that there is more than just having a trust or having an LLC to asset protection. It's how you operate them and how you have everything set up. It's your paperwork, it's your yearly minutes, meetings, accounting, all of that stuff. So it's a strong reminder for that. He also said, right now things aren't that bad. Yes, they're very interesting times. They both agreed to that. So kill off your, but it's not that bad. So you can still kill off your worst deals, and get your quote unquote house in order, to weather any coming storm. They both had this major concern, stagflation. And I asked them very specifically, when you last saw stagflation, which was in the 70s, what did you see? They said, keep your rents, you need to keep your rents up and houses will double. So that's and I think I would want to kind of maybe ask some clarifying parts about the keeping the rents part up because they do notoriously keep the rents low. But they definitely said houses did go up in value. So it was this idea of get into assets, because in a stagflationary period, he who has assets wins. So something to keep in mind. Another thing, John, but they did both have concerns about stagflation becoming a reality. Another thing John said was recessions force you to be efficient. And so, during difficult times, he also said it is easier to kill off overhead than to make money. It's faster, and I guess easier to, lessen your overhead, reduce expenses than it is to make money. So that is something to keep in mind as a quick fix. And then John also said, make your money when you buy because selling leaves you at the mercy of the market. And it's just a reminder to do good deals, right? to always to be improving your deal making. These two guys are, you know, um, huge influences on my deal making skill set, my deal making philosophies. Very thankful for both Pete and John. If you haven't already checked it out in the Strategic Success podcast that I host, I've interviewed both Pete and John in their homes. I'm super thankful for those. They've been on my podcast and my YouTube channel in multiple capacities. So just a reminder. So Pete does have his next class every June. He does one. It is going to be June 28th and 29th. That is in Tampa, Florida, and it's his One Step Beyond, which is his acquisitions class that he does every June. Highly suggest you guys check it out. If you come, I'd love to see you. I'll be there. I'm actually going to be speaking at a local RIA right before being there, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. I am super thankful that I invest in a world, I live in a world where John Schaub and Peter Fortunato are investing to where I can be influenced by them. Please, if you have not, number one, if you have not even heard of these guys, go listen to my podcast with them, right? Um, Check them out. There's plenty of other podcasts with them as well. Listen to different episodes by them. But you can easily start with the 2 episodes I did with them. And then on top of that, I would encourage you next April, put this conference on your radar. I highly suggest you do. I make it a priority to be there myself. Phenomenal place, tons of phenomenal operators in the room. It's always a reunion for me to see some of the brightest investors throughout the country in the room. So I love it. I'm thankful for it. Just a reminder for you guys, those who don't know, the next time I'm going to Tampa, look, I was there in March for Bill Cook's event. I was just there here in April for John and Pete's class, and then I will be there in May 17th. I will be there specifically teaching my first class in Florida. I'm really excited about that. I go to Florida often, obviously, you can tell, to be around my mentors, and it's been a dream of mine, a goal of mine to teach where my mentors live. And so I am hosting, I usually only host a few workshops a year, so I am hosting my Safe Subject to workshop in Clearwater, Florida at the Advana IRA headquarters on May 17th. Literally, we only have room for 50 people. And I was actually just thinking in my head, I may have to reduce that a little bit because I have given some tickets to some very knowledgeable folks. I'm very much looking forward to some of the people who will be in attendance. And so we are very limited. So let's just say we're limited to those 50 seats in person. And so if you're looking to attend, get your ticket now. If you're looking to attend, if you sign up last minute, you may not get lunch and you may not get a physical manual. You may not even be allowed in if we are at capacity and sold out because I have to plan ahead and print manuals. I have to plan ahead and order lunch. So make sure you get your ticket. It is $597. It includes the recordings to an additional workshop. So you're literally getting 2 workshops for the price of one. One of them is going to be the 1 day in person, and the other one is all online with the recording. So guys, this is for both the online tickets and in person. Get your tickets today, May 17th. I am literally deep diving how to do subject to as safely as possible. Lots of things. If you attended this workshop last August, I am adding a lot to it, a lot of thoughts. Um, it very well may be. I'm honestly, it very well may be something that I think you're going to enjoy. So nonetheless, you guys, I'm looking forward to my next time back in Tampa. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Guys, day 97 of the 100 days. Appreciate you guys. Make sure if you haven't already, go listen to this podcast. Check out Pete and John. Appreciate you.